So this is just a flip through of some of the work I did in spring, and most of it was just playing with the alcohol inks and the surfaces, because Yopo paper is kind of like this, but it's a little heavier. This was fine to work on. This was just a piece of a palette paper, and I used a stencil over it with the colors, and I really liked the way it came out, and I was going to finish it with some marker, but I'm not sure I want to touch it, so I was just going to leave it like that for now. But it's fun to work with the alcohol inks and stencils. I really enjoyed that, and so I kept that as a theme. These are little squares that I cut out. They were scrap because I do like to work bigger, and we'll get to the size I decided on. These I just squirted some ink, and this is how it came out, and I saw some trees look like a little forest to me, so then I went ahead with a dry brush, dry alcohol ink, and I think this was a Sharpie, and I just put in some extra details, and I had a forest, which was fun. Lots of fun to do. These are my germs, because it was fun to make these little circles with, I used glue as the stencil. And it was fun to make the stencils, and then it was fun to use the stencils in all kinds of different ways. This I used more colors of ink. Now this surface is plastic board. It's a plastic board that was used in a retail display and was getting thrown out, and I am so much a rat when it comes to things I can use in the studio. I love to recycle stuff to use, and this board, when I didn't realize it at first, but it worked great with the alcohol inks. I've got so many of these little areas that the alcohol ink kind of does what it wants to, and sometimes it'll amaze you, and sometimes you'll just want to wash it all off, which you can do on the board, and you can do that on Yopo paper too, and you can do that on any shiny surface that you use that's not porous, that will absorb your ink. If you use the inks on a porous paper, it'll just absorb it, so you won't get that washy feely mixture of ink. This I did with a stamp, and then I outlined it in a chrome marker, and it was just a piece of experimental board to see how the alcohol inks would work, because I really never had worked with them. I like to have a structure, and that's why I enjoyed working with the stencil. This was not a stencil but a stamp. It wasn't a rubber stamp, it was a plastic stamp. And I put the colors down, and then I put the stamp down, and it went right up into the areas of the stamp that touched the paper. Not paper, board. So I really like the way this came out, and all these have been sprayed with, except for this, all these have been sprayed with fixative. And I'm hoping that in the future, if you drop alcohol on these, because the alcohol will spread this again, I'm hoping that once I put the fixative on it, I won't have that problem. This I really liked. It kind of looks like a map to me, a road map. It is just the glue that I made a stencil, put it on the board, and then I just put my inks on it, and it melt together where it wanted to, and it separated where it wanted to. And I really like the way the blue came out and how it blended in with the different, I don't know if I could get that close enough that it's still in focus without the shine on it, but a lot of cool little places that it just did its own thing. And that's what I liked about the alcohol ink. It's like interaction with your medium. This was fun to do. I put the stencil down on the ink that was already round there. The colors were already down. I put the stencil down, and then I took my alcohol ink with the tip, the real pointy tip, And you could probably use a pipette for that. And then I just flushed it with the colors that I wanted. The sun. I tried this again. It didn't work out the same way. But I really like the way this came out with the darks and the light spaces. And I might go in with those light spaces and rub off the ink and just put like a halo-ish of brightness in there. And there's a little bit of texture coming out here. The stencil, I think the stencil moved. But this was a happy accident because the colors blended really well and it did what I wanted it to do. This is a piece of the board. I cut all the boards this size. This is the size I'm going to be working in the future. This I experimented different mediums on the board. Also here, alcohol ink. This is when I first started and was just getting used to the way it ran together, which is one of the things I like about alcohol ink. So you can go on your surface, Yupo paper, plastic board, whatever you find that you can do it on. This here is just foam core that I put shiny paper on, and I put the ink down and I blew it with an empty bottle, just an empty bottle. I just pushed it and pushed the ink. You can do this also with, you could also do it with one of these. That, you know, that helps push the ink. I don't have an airbrush, so I haven't tried that, but I do like the way the ink pushed out. This was fun to do, but I'm not quite sure I like it, so we're gonna just put that over there for now. But so this is what it does, and you can use the board or the paper over and over and over again. I do have this, which I tried another butterfly. It just didn't look the same, although I can outline it and get a sharpness in the pastel colors. I tried to go pastel. It's not my thing, but I tried to do something. This is going to be background for ocean. I did a few of these. So when I'm ready to start up again with the alcohol inks, I have some really nice backgrounds. This I did with rice. I put the ink down, and these haven't been fixed yet, so they could, if I drop ink on alcohol on it, it will disperse the ink that's on there. So this I did with rice to separate the color. This I did with plastic to separate the color, and I believe I used plastic here, like a plastic food bag. I put the color on the board and then I laid the plastic on it until it dried, and then I took the plastic off. And I did edge this with tape because I wanted to see how that was a technique that I saw on a video. I wanted to see how that worked. So those were the actual art. These are the stencils, and they were really fun to make. These stencils I haven't used. I was going to go on and do some feathers, and these could be leaves, and I did these on the plastic board also. This is Elmer's glue on the board. Once they dry up, you could just, once they're dry, you could just peel them off the board and they come really easy. So I did these, and then these, once you use them, the alcohol makes them really soft, so you have to be careful with them. This is my germ, and I'm very partial to my germ. There's other germs in here. Let's see, there's these. Some I used, some I didn't use. But these are them. That's how they come out. They have ink on them after you use them. And the thing is, I could reuse these. I could put them on board or paper and then put alcohol on them, 100% alcohol, and the ink that's on that will disperse and it'll give me another pattern, should I want to do that. So these are the germs. This is, I really like this one. This was the map, and it is kind of lace-like. So you do have to be gentle with them, but once the alcohol gets on, they kind of get sticky until they dry, so you should let them dry before you put them away. If you choose to keep them, you could toss them when you're done. This was the sun. I also have a bigger sun that I did try to use on a bigger board, but it didn't come out very well. This is this I will try because it's got so much color on it. I will try to put this on a board and re-wet it with alcohol and see how these colors blend together, because they blended together really nicely on the stencil and on this. So this was like this. So I put this here, and I think maybe it was like that. And then once it dries, you just take the stencil off. And they're so much fun. It's just fun to do. It's some things you have to do that is not work, is not commission. It's just fun to do, and you can play around with it and not only get ideas for other work, but you get to kind of, your mind, to me it's meditation when I do play work instead of work in the studio. And both is fine with me. I'm good with, and that paper, this paper here, which is really inexpensive considering Yopo paper, is just this Artist Loft palette paper pad. And I just wanted to experiment with it one day. You can mount this on foam core and to get a sturdier surface, but it works just as well on its own. You could tape it down or not. And the last stencil I have is this big sun. And the colors worked. It didn't dry nice. I think I oversaturated it and it just didn't dry as nicely as I liked it to. So I just wanted to flip through those. That's what I did for spring. I kind of played in the studio. And I will be getting back to the easel. And that's why I decided to put the alcohol inks away for now. One other fun thing that I did get to do with the plastic board was make the swatches. And I love to swatch my color. So this was special because I was going to hang these, but I'm not quite sure I'm going to stay in this space. If I do, I'm going to unpack a lot of the stuff I had packed up for the last year because I didn't unpack everything when I moved in here. I didn't know I was going to stay, and I'm here still. But the work is fun. Anytime I come into the studio, it's always fun. And working with alcohol inks has been a lot of fun. It's unlike any other, well, it's not paint, but it's unlike any other color I've ever used. It's not like watercolor. It's not like oil. It's definitely not like acrylic, because acrylic dries like really quick. And this sometimes, especially when you're doing the stencil, some of these I dried overnight. Like I just let them sit and then I pull the stencil off the next day. So fun. If you want to try alcohol ink, I say go for it. It's a lot of fun. Experiment first so you know what the ink does. Get yourself a nice surface that you like and create.